Welcome to Copilot Podcasts. Picture this, you're sitting at a table, character sheet in front of you, and you've just asked your dungeon master if you can please, pretty please, switch to a level 2 human thief, because everything else seems impossibly complicated. Today, we're diving into one of the most relatable struggles in tabletop gaming, character creation confusion, why re-rolling feels necessary, and what happens when players just want something that seems easier. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why character anxiety is so common and how to navigate those overwhelming choices without losing your mind. Let's start with our resident tabletop expert to break down what's really happening when players get stuck in character creation paralysis.
So this scenario is incredibly common, and there's actually research backing up why it happens. According to forum discussions on RPGNet, players often suffer from what's called jack-of-all-trades syndrome. They get so afraid of what their character might encounter that they end up creating someone who's mediocre at everything.
Wait, there's actually a name for this?
Absolutely. One player described it perfectly. They start with a good character idea, but then think, hey, my character is supposed to be strong, but I don't want him to be a dummy either. So they spread points around until their character is above average in all attributes, but exceptional at nothing.
That sounds exhausting. And I'm guessing this is where the re-rolling comes in?
Exactly. But here's where it gets interesting. According to D&D Beyond forums, there's a huge misconception about re-roll mechanics. Players think they can keep re-rolling until they get what they want, but the actual rules are much more limited.
How limited are we talking?
Well, for most re-roll abilities like great weapon fighting, you can re-roll each die exactly once, and you must use the new result, even if it's worse. One forum user was shocked to learn their Bill Murray build that relied on endless rerolls wasn't actually legal.
A Bill Murray build? That's amazing. But okay, so re-rolling isn't the magic solution. What about this appeal of the human thief?
The human thief represents something psychologically appealing, simplicity and competence. According to D&D Beyond, thieves are described as a mix of burglar, treasure hunter, and explorer with clear, useful abilities that make sense immediately.
So it's not just about being easier mechanically, it's about being easier to understand conceptually?
Precisely. At level 2, a thief gets cunning action, which lets them dash, disengage, or hide as a bonus action. It's straightforward, you're sneaky, you're quick, you can get out of trouble. Compare that to a wizard trying to manage spell slots and components.
Right, and there's probably something to be said for the human part too. No weird racial abilities to track?
Absolutely. Humans in D&D get straightforward bonuses, usually just ability score improvements. No dark vision to remember, no special resistances, no cultural quirks to roleplay if you're not ready for that complexity.
This is making me think about something though. Is this character creation anxiety actually holding people back from enjoying the game?
That's a great question. According to Reddit discussions, some players describe serious indecisiveness where they create 10 different builds but immediately feel buyer's remorse after picking one. There's this internal voice saying, wouldn't you have more fun playing that other character?
Oh no, that sounds like analysis paralysis, but for fun.
Exactly. And the anxiety gets worse when you're trying to hang out with friends. Players worry about looking fickle or unsure, so they get stuck in this loop of second-guessing themselves.
So what do experienced players recommend for breaking out of this cycle?
One popular solution from the forums is embracing random character generation. Some DMs use old-school methods like rolling 3d6 straight down the line for stats, which removes choice anxiety entirely. As one player put it, there was no buyer's remorse because fate chose for me.
That's actually brilliant. Take the decision out of your hands completely.
Another approach is using pre-generated characters with some blanks to fill in. One DM created characters where players only knew the name in advance, then got to choose background and weapon preferences. The players loved it because it eliminated the overwhelming choices while still giving them agency.
But let's get back to our British dungeon mistress scenario. What's she probably thinking when Chuck asks to switch to that human thief?
Well, if she's experienced, she's probably recognizing the signs of choice overload. According to the Tabletop RPG Authority, character creation is the first mechanical act in any tabletop RPG and frequently the most consequential, which puts enormous pressure on new players.
Right, because you're making decisions that affect every single scene going forward.
Exactly. And here's something interesting. D&D 5th edition allocates roughly 30 pages to character creation rules, while some other systems compress the same process into a single double-sided character sheet that takes under 10 minutes.
30 pages? No wonder people get overwhelmed.
And that's just the basic rules. When you factor in all the subclasses, backgrounds, and optional rules, the choices become exponential. A good DM recognizes when a player is drowning in options and needs a life raft.
So the human thief request isn't really about the thief being objectively better, it's about finding something manageable?
Precisely. And honestly, there's wisdom in that choice. According to the search results, rogues are described as having a knack for finding the solution to just about any problem and being the cornerstone of any successful adventuring party.
Plus, if you're level 2, you're getting some immediate gratification with those abilities, right?
Absolutely. At level 2, you have cunning action, which means every turn you can do something cool and tactical. You're not waiting until level 5 or 7 to feel competent, you're effective right away.
This is making me wonder about the broader tabletop gaming landscape. Are we seeing more players gravitating towards simpler options?
That's a fascinating question. According to market analysis, the global TTRPG market reached $1.92 billion in 2024, with fantasy-themed systems dominating 39 to 40% of segment revenue. But there's also growing interest in streamlined systems.
So people want the fantasy experience, but maybe not all the complexity?
Exactly. The analysis mentions systems like 24XX, which are one-sheet rules that you can pick up with zero prep and play immediately. There's definitely an appetite for gateway experiences that don't require a PhD in game mechanics.
That makes sense. But let's talk about the confusion around Book 2 that Chuck mentioned. What's that about?
This is probably referring to different edition books or supplements. In D&D's history, certain books have reputations, some are considered more beginner-friendly, others are seen as the definitive version. Without more context, it's hard to say exactly which Book 2 Chuck is confused about.
But the confusion itself is telling, right? It suggests there are multiple versions or systems to choose from, which just adds to the decision fatigue.
Absolutely. And this connects back to what forum users call the best of syndrome, wanting to create the optimal character but not having the system mastery to know what that means. Players end up paralyzed by the fear of making the wrong choice.
So what would you tell Chuck in this situation? Just go with the human thief?
I'd tell him that the best character is the one you're excited to play. If the human thief feels manageable and fun, that's infinitely better than a complex character that makes you anxious every turn.
That's really good advice. And I imagine once you get comfortable with the basics, you can always try more complex characters later.
Exactly. One Reddit user put it perfectly. I will certainly have less fun if I don't pick any character, so let's just go with the one I have and save the others for another time. The goal is to start playing, not to create the perfect character.
And there's probably something to be said for learning the game mechanics through a simpler character before diving into the deep end.
Absolutely. You'll understand combat, skill checks, and basic roleplay much better with a straightforward character. Then, when you do create that complex wizard or multi-class build, you'll have the foundation to actually enjoy it.
This whole conversation is making me think about how we approach learning in general. Sometimes the best way forward is to start simple and build complexity gradually.
That's a great insight. And it applies beyond just character creation. The same principle works for understanding game systems, developing roleplay skills, even learning to be a better player at the table.
Plus, there's probably less pressure on everyone when new players start with something manageable. The DM doesn't have to explain complex mechanics. Other players don't have to wait while someone figures out their turn.
Exactly. And here's something interesting. According to the market data, there's growing demand for premium GM tools and accessories, which suggests that even experienced players value anything that makes the game run smoother.
So it's not just new players who want things to be easier. Everyone benefits from reducing unnecessary complexity.
Right. The goal is fun, not proving how well you can navigate a complicated system. If a level 2 human thief gets Chuck excited about playing and contributing to the story, that's a win for everyone at the table.
And honestly, thieves can be incredibly versatile. You're not locked into just one type of gameplay.
Absolutely. According to D&D Beyond, thieves get abilities for exploration, social encounters, and combat. Fast Hands lets you use objects as a bonus action. Second Story Work gives you climbing abilities, and later you get Use Magic Device for incredible versatility.
So Chuck might think he's choosing the easy option, but he's actually picking a character with room to grow in multiple directions.
Exactly. And that growth happens naturally through play, not through complex character creation decisions. He can discover what aspects of the game he enjoys most and lean into those.
This brings us back to that British dungeon mistress. If she's good at her job, she's probably thrilled that Chuck found something he's excited about, regardless of complexity level.
Absolutely. A good DM knows that engaged players make better stories than optimized character sheets. If Chuck is confident and excited about his human thief, he's going to contribute more to the game than if he's constantly second guessing a complex character.
And there's something beautiful about that polite request. Can I please switch to something easier? It shows he wants to participate but needs it to be manageable.
Right, and that self-awareness is actually really valuable. He's not trying to power game or optimize, he's just trying to find his comfort zone so he can focus on the fun parts of the game.
So when you step back from all this, what's the real lesson here? That it's okay to start simple?
It's more than okay, it's often the smartest approach. The research shows that character creation anxiety is real and common. Fighting through that anxiety doesn't make you a better player, it just makes the game less fun.
And the goal is always fun, right? Whether you're playing a level 2 human thief or a multi-class nightmare of complexity, the point is to enjoy the experience.
Exactly. And here's what I think is really important. Chuck's request isn't a failure or a cop-out. It's actually a mature recognition of his current comfort level and a smart strategy for getting the most out of the game.
That's a perfect way to put it. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit you need something simpler so you can actually participate fully.
And who knows, maybe in 6 months, Chuck will be the one helping other new players navigate their character creation anxiety, because he'll remember what it felt like to be overwhelmed.
I love that. The student becomes the teacher, all because he was willing to start where he was instead of where he thought he should be. So here's what I want you to remember. The next time you're sitting at a table, overwhelmed by character options, think about Chuck. Sometimes the best choice is the one that gets you playing, instead of the one that looks perfect on paper. Thanks for joining us on Copilot Podcasts. Whether you're rolling a level 2 human thief or a complex multi-class build, the most important thing is that you're rolling at all. Now go make some stories.